lights low, camera on me, wave crash in the background. Welcome to the story, stay wavy with the Jab TV, with the hook, every round heavy now. Better take a good look, ring bell, gloves up, hear the bass get loud. We make the camera shake.
It's your boy Wavy. Shakur Tupac Stevenson, aka Shakira Twitterson, was on Cigar Talk yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I had a very, very interesting interview. And he said a lot of things. We're going to get into it, but let's start off with the most important thing that he said, the most controversial thing that he said. He said that if he beats Teofimo Lopez next year in January, that he will be the new face of boxing. Now, my response to that is how does beating Teofimo Lopez make you the next face of boxing when Teofimo Lopez has one of the lowest fan bases in boxing? Like, Teofimo Lopez is not a popular boxer. Now, does he have some fans? Yes, but when you compare him to his contemporaries like Gervonta Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Ryan Garcia, I think everybody would agree that out of those four boxers, right, you compare them to Teofimo Lopez, all four of those boxers I just named has a bigger fan base, gets more attention to the sport of boxing than Teofimo Lopez. The most time that Teofimo Lopez has ever got attention in the sport of boxing is when he's made the racial controversial comments, you know what I'm saying, where he basically said he was trolling, right? He called Terrence Buck Crawford and Gervonta Davis, gorillas or something like that. You know, basically was trying to be like how Kobe Covington is over there in the UFC, basically using, racial propaganda to, bring more attention to his fights. And it's failed, right? Like, nobody watched Teofimo Lopez's fights after that to say, oh, let's see if this guy can really fight. Nah, as a matter of fact, it actually made a lot of people that used to be fans of Teofimo Lopez turn on him. And now a lot of those people don't fuck with Teofimo Lopez after he did what he did. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, bro. These guys, bro, like, they want to be in the position that a Gervonta Tank Davis is in, right? Before Gervonta Tank Davis fumbled the Jake bag, right? He was about to fight Jake Paul for $40 million and just basically retire from the sport, right? If we're talking about who's the face of boxing, number one, that is still Canelo Alvarez. Why? Because Canelo Alvarez brings the most eyes to the sport of boxing. He sells the most pay-per-views. He sells the most tickets as far as, the attendance at the fights. Canelo Alvarez, even though he lost to Terrence Buck Crawford, is still the face of boxing, okay? Number two, and y'all gonna hate me for saying this, but if we talking about bringing eyes to the sport, the number two face of boxing would have to be Jake Paul. To all the niggas that's about to crash out in the comment section, take your feelings. Stop thinking with your pussy and think with your mind. You a man, right? Think with your mind and listen to what I just said. I said when it comes to the eyes that you bring to the sport, right? How many views you get, right? Look at the record that Jake Paul broke for his all-women's card that was on Netflix. Look at how many views he brought for his fight with Mike Tyson. Okay, Jake Paul is the boxing cash cow. It is what it is, bro. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is. He's growing the sport. Whether you like Jake Paul or not, bro, one thing that you can't deny is he's growing the sport. The man's about to fight Anthony Joshua this month, bro. I believe it's on December 19th. This man is risking his life to show y'all that he's a real boxer. We already know what's going to happen when he gets in there with AJ. I think AJ is going to knock him out in the first round brutally. And I think that may be Jake Paul's last fight because, that one knockout may make Jake Paul realize, maybe I shouldn't be doing this no more. You know what I'm saying? But the third face of boxing is Gervonta Tank Davis. Him and Ryan Garcia, they had a very successful pay-per-view fight together. So we got to put Gervonta Tank Davis at number 3. And number 4 would probably be Ryan Garcia, Queen Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? The Osterine man, you feel me? He be on that OPEC, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, right, Shakur Stevenson is not a pay-per-view star, right? The only reason he's getting the attention that he's getting now is because of Turki Alalshikh, right? Turki Alalshikh is putting him on cards where he's getting the most attention he's ever gotten in his career. Before that, this man was fighting for free on ESPN. Like, no disrespect to Top Rank, but let's just be honest, bruh. Shakur Stevenson was fighting for free on ESPN. Now, he was getting a lot of views on ESPN. We got to give credit when it's due. I'm not here to hate, right? Shakur Stevenson was getting millions of views when he would fight on ESPN or Thursdays or Fridays. That's a fact. But at the end of the day, bruh, like, you're not a star or a superstar, or you can't call yourself a face of boxing until you sell pay-per-views. And we've yet to see Shakur Stevenson, right, be the main event. Like, bro, Shakur Stevenson wasn't even the main event on his last fight. His fight against William Cepeda, he wasn't even in the main event. He was the co-main event to Edgar Bologna and William Shiaz. You feel me? He was the co-main event. So what you talking about, you gonna be the new face of boxing? That's cap, bruh. That's cap. And listen, a big part of the reason why Shakur Stevenson isn't as big as a Gervonta Tank Davis or a Devin Haney is simply because Shakur Stevenson does a lot of typing on Twitter, bro. You're constantly on Twitter typing a whole bunch of crazy shit, responding to the haters, you responding to Cam and Mace. And then when it's time to fight, right, you put people to sleep. Now, in Shakur Stevenson's most recent fight against William Cepeda, he put on the best performance of his career against William Cepeda, right? Stood in the pocket, was doing the Floyd Mayweather shoulder roll, right? I had Shakur Stevenson winning 10 out of 12 rounds of that fight. I think he absolutely dominated William Cepeda, right? William Cepeda did almost drop him. He did almost put Shakur Stevenson on his ass. He punched him and Shakur Stevenson's feet stumbled and he almost dropped, right? You've seen his daughter after the fight say, "You almost got knocked out." But at the end of the day, I would consider that a masterclass, right? Shakur Stevenson gets all the credit. But let's look at the fights before that, right? You had your famous fight against Edwin De Los Santos where you were running for all 12 rounds in the fight. It was an absolute snooze. It was an absolute snooze fest. It was boring. It was obvious that you were afraid of Edwin De Los Santos' power, and you did everything in your power to not get hit, right? Then the very next fight after that against Artem, this fight took place in New Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey, in your hometown, and that fight was so boring that people was leaving the arena before the fight was even over. People in your hometown, Shakur, listen to what I'm saying, bruh. People in your hometown of Newark, New Jersey, they was leaving the fight before the fight was even in the 10th round because it was so fucking boring, bruh. How could you ever say that if you beat Teo, you're going to be the face of boxing? That's cap. The boxing fans don't find your fights entertaining, brother. After that, you had a fight with Josh Padley, and I'm not going to knock you for this because you were supposed to fight Floyd Schofield, right? Floyd Schofield claimed that he was sick. He claimed that you popped the tires on his car. He claimed that you went inside his crib and stole his do-rag. You feel me? Floyd Sr. claimed that you ran up inside their house and stole all the packages of ramen noodles. And they're basically blaming you for Floyd Schofield pulling out of that fight that was supposed to take place in Saudi, right? So you ended up fighting a part-time boxer at the time, part-time electrician, Josh Padley, right? Now, you were able to stop Josh Padley in the 9th round, but Josh Padley was kind of doing this thing against Shakur Stevenson. We got to be honest, bro. Shakur was kind of struggling with Josh Padley. We got to be honest, right? You were complaining about your hands, saying that you messed one of your hands up. You know what I'm saying? That performance was okay, right? It was okay. People didn't like it, but I'm not going to say it was bad. I'm not going to say it was good. It was okay. I do think you should have got him out of there earlier. But at the end of the day, man, we just got to understand that Shakur Stevenson is not a knockout artist, right? Similar to a Devin Haney, right? So, listen, brother. I'm picking Shakur Stevenson to beat Teofimo Lopez in January. But in order for Shakur Stevenson to consider himself the new face of boxing, you're going to have to, bro, you're going to have to put on more entertaining fights consistently. A lot of people are predicting that this fight with Shakur and Teo is going to be a snooze fest. I'm hearing a lot of people say that. I don't think it's going to be like that, but a lot of people are saying that they think this fight's going to be boring. They think it's going to be a chess match. They think Shakur is going to be running because he's going to feel that power from Teo at 140. And people are already expecting a shit show in this fight with Shakur and Teo. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I'm picking Shakur Stevenson to win this fight by majority decision. I do think it's a 50-50 fight, but I just think Shakur's defense is just too good. And I just think Shakur Stevenson is the better all-around boxer. And I most definitely think that Shakur Stevenson has a higher boxing IQ than a Teofimo Lopez. Now, what we do know about Teo is when he fights up to his competition, we see the best version of Teo. So if Teo was to win this fight by a split decision or majority decision, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because Teofimo Lopez is an elite boxer and he is the best boxer at 140 in this point in time, right? Also, is Shakur going to struggle at this new weight class? Even though it's only 5 more pounds, Shakur Stevenson is a small guy. Teo is a small guy as well, but Teo is already adjusted to the weight class. Is Shakur, is he going to be able to take that power from a Teofimo Lopez at 140? But regardless of who wins this fight, either one of these guys is not going to be the face of boxing. If anybody out of the young dudes is the face of boxing, it's Devin Debo Haney. Why? Because Devin Haney brings eyes to the sport. Even the people that don't like Devin Haney, they watch Devin Haney to see him lose. Bro, do you guys know how many people was going for Brian Norman Jr.? Not because they were a fan of Brian Norman Jr. It was simply because of the fact that they hate Devin Haney. Shout out to my nigga Alberto, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Alberti. Like, this nigga hates Devin Haney. He was saying, oh, we're going to get the Haneys out of boxing. The Haneys are a cancer to the sport of boxing. Bruh, he was so confident that Brian Norman Jr. was going to knock out Devin Haney, not because he's a fan of Brian Norman Jr., but simply because he hates Devin Haney and Bill Haney and he doesn't like Devin Haney's style, right? So Devin Haney is kind of like the modern day Floyd Money Mayweather, right? You guys remember when everybody was watching Floyd just to see if he would lose before he ended up retiring at 50-0? That's what's going on with Devin Haney, right? You got the Lomachenko fight. Some people think Devin lost that fight, and I think Devin Haney should have gave Lomachenko a rematch, because the difference between Floyd and Devin is whenever Floyd Mayweather had a controversial fight, he always had a rematch to prove to the fans, I'm better than this guy. Even if I have an off night, even if you guys think I lost, okay, I'm going to fight this guy again and show y'all I'm the better man. The only fight that Floyd didn't rematch was the Oscar De La Hoya fight. That's the only one, right? That was a very close fight. To anybody that thinks Oscar wins that fight, I'm not going to argue with you. I totally get it, right? So after the Lomachenko fight, you have the Regis Prograis fight, where Devin Haney moved up to 140 after he undisputed 135. He dropped Regis, could have knocked out Regis, but pretty much won all 12 rounds against Regis Prograis, right? After that, calls out Gervonta Tank Davis, no response, so he ends up fighting Queen Ryan Osterine Garcia. Ryan Garcia drops Devin Haney, I believe, 3 times, right? But think about this, guys. This is how trash of a boxer Ryan Garcia is. To all the Ryan Garcia fans out there, I know y'all listening. This is how trash Ryan Garcia is. How do you drop somebody 3 times and you only win by majority decision? To all the casuals out there, right? When you win by a split decision, that means that the fight could have went either way. That means you barely won, right? When you win by majority decision, that means that there was a judge that thinks the other guy won, and there's other judges that think that the fight was like really close. I'm talking about like close between, like, they may give one guy two more rounds than the other guy. Majority decision means that like you kind of won, but not in dominant fashion, right? Unanimous decision means that you pretty much dominated the fight. So Ryan Garcia, who came into the fight overweight, right, had to pay Devin Haney extra money because of that, was on Osterine. This man dropped Devin Haney 3 times and only won the fight by majority decision, right? So you got that fight. That fight was overturned to a no contest, right? And then Devin Haney ends up fighting, what's his name? Jose Ramirez, has a lackluster performance, wins by unanimous decision. And then Devin Haney beats Brian Norman Jr., where he did the unthinkable. Debo Haney put Brian Norman Jr. on his ass in the 2nd round, broke his nose, headbutted him in the eye, and just completely just made a fool out of Brian Norman Jr. And he showed Brian Norman Jr. that there's levels to this shit. Just because you knock out a couple of bums in your last 3 fights doesn't mean you're gonna knock out an elite fighter. And I kept telling people that before the fight happened. I told niggas it was gonna look like Devin versus Regis, and it looked exactly like that. You know, I think Devin was a little bit more dominant against Regis, but you guys get my drift. It was similar. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, Devin Haney sold pay-per-views with Lomachenko, sold pay-per-views with Ryan Garcia. He sold more pay-per-views than Shakur and Teofimo Lopez. If you don't count the Turki Alalshikh fights, right? If we're talking about the fights that Turki Alalshikh has nothing to do with, then if anybody's the next face of boxing, it's Devin Haney. And I think that's why Shakur Stevenson is so jealous of Devin Haney, because Devin is bigger than him. Devin makes more money than him. Devin has a better resume than him. And Devin has a bigger fan base than him. And Shakur knows that. And I think that bothers Shakur. I do. But Shakur, you had the chance to, you know, become undisputed against Devin Haney when he offered you that 25%, and you declined it, and you tried to you basically forced the sanctioning body to make you Devin Haney's mandatory so you can get paid what you felt like you should have get paid. You should have just took the 25%. Because if you would have beat Devin Haney, which I don't think you would have, but if you would have beat Devin Haney, you would have became undisputed. You would have gotten bigger paydays, right? And you probably would have a bigger fan base than Devin Haney right now. So you're not going to be the face of boxing even if you beat a Teofimo Lopez. And with that being said, man, it's your boy Wavy. StayWavyTV, man. Make sure y'all subscribe, thumbs up the video, share the video, leave a comment, and let me know what y'all think, man. Let me ask the chat, man. If Shakur Stevenson beats Teofimo Lopez on January 31st next year, do you consider Shakur Stevenson the next face of boxing? Let me know in the comment section, man. I'm out.
Stay wavy signing out, ride the tide, no doubt. From the rooftop glow to the neon cloud. You tapped in, so I gotta say love. Like, subscribe, keep the motion above. Until the next wave, we out. Peace.